Jesus said no, so you can too. Jesus had a specific group of people around him, and you can too. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about what does the Bible say about having boundaries, and is it okay to say no? So welcome back to another episode of the You, Me, and Jesus podcast. We're talking about boundaries. Now, I talk about boundaries all the time because there was a time in my life when I did not know what boundaries were. There was a time in my life where I was a toxic person with people that had boundaries. And then there was a time in my life when I started to learn what boundaries were. Now I'm in the life of like, okay, boundaries are great and all that type of stuff. And so I come from the perspective of I've been through it all. Okay. And so I wanted to share that with you today on the show. So when I think about boundaries, I think that the word boundaries has a negative connotation associated with it. And so I want to bring it more into perspective. Okay, let me give you a lot of examples. So right now I am filming in my apartment, and my apartment has boundaries. What does that mean? That means in order to get in the front door of the whole apartment complex, the door is open. You have to walk past someone at the front desk. At nighttime, it's locked. You can't get in without a key or without hitting a button and someone letting you in or you calling someone, right? Then when you get into the elevator, you can't get upstairs unless you have a little swipe to put on the thing to get up there. Then once you get to my apartment, you cannot get into my apartment unless the door is open or unless you have the key. Boundaries, right? That doesn't mean people are not allowed to be here. There's hundreds of people that live here. It means that you're invited to come here, but here's a way to get access into all the different spaces. When it comes to the grocery store has boundaries, okay? It's open all throughout the day. When it's closed, it's locked. And then when you get into the grocery store, you can have whatever you want in the grocery store. But before you consume it, you got to take it to the register and you have to pay for it, okay? So you can have whatever you want, but the boundary is that you got to pay for it. Same thing that goes along with Jesus. Everybody gets access to Jesus. Everybody gets access to Jesus. However, if you want the sacred space of Jesus, you have to be invited to be one of the 12. Like everybody had access to Jesus. Love you. But if you wanted the sacred space, you had to be one of the 12. Right? And then if you really wanted that time between him and God, you couldn't have it because he was like, hey, y'all go stay awake while I go and pray. You're invited to this part, but you're not invited to that part. Everybody's welcome except for these little moments. Same thing goes for you. You should have boundaries. Okay. You should have boundaries. Okay. And boundaries are healthy. Now, before I get into my little spiel, I did what I always do. I went to Google and I asked Google, what does the Bible say about boundaries? Okay. It said the Bible doesn't offer a comprehensive single source answer on that, but it does provide numerous examples and principles that support the importance of setting and respecting them. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of them. God's boundaries. God himself established boundaries in the natural world, such as the boundaries of nations, land, and divisions, and then the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, so then when it comes to Jesus, while demonstrating love and compassion, also maintained boundaries, such as taking time to be alone with the Father, even when surrounded by crowds. Okay, so what does that look like to you? That looks like, first of all, you have to value yourself. Forget everybody else. You have to value yourself and all the things that come with yourself. Jesus valued himself. Jesus valued his relationship with God. Jesus valued his time with his 12 disciples, and he valued his time with the crowds, right? But they all had levels and layers to what it looked like, right? So you were here home, watching, listening, whatever. You value your space, time, whatever, right? There's a value to that. And you get to determine who gets access to certain aspects, like your bed. Who gets access to being in my bed? Nobody. Me and the cats, right? That's it, right? I get married, my husband will get access to that. Who gets access to my prayer time, my very intimate time between me and God? No one. Okay. When I get married, him and I will have time with God, and I will have my own time with God. Right. And the boundary will be, hey, when I'm having my time with God, please do not interrupt. And when you're having your time with God, I will not interrupt. And then we will have our time together. Right. And so there's the boundary there. Right. I have a friend of 25 years, right? And I love our relationship, but there's a boundary. I don't tell her what to do with all these types of things unless she asks. She doesn't tell me what to do with certain things unless I ask, but we invite each other into the sacredness of trusting and having access to all the things. But we both understand, hey, I might give you the login to my bank account, but I trust that you're not going to log in. You're not going to do nothing in there, right? You may have the passwords to my phone, all that, but you're not going to do none of that. You just have access, and that's it. That's it, right? There's the boundary of that. Then when it comes to just friendships in general, you get to determine what each relationship is like, what people can and cannot do, what they can and cannot say, what they have access to. That is not a bad thing, right? That's like you go to church, there's a boundary between you, your pastor, pastor's wife, and all the things, right? Not because the person is a pastor, because they're leading a group of people and they are a human with their own human experience, their own family, plus the leadership that they're working with, and then the crowds, right? There's a boundary. There's a way to actually get a meeting with your pastor. Everybody can't just say, I meet with the pastor today. Pastor has a whole life outside of church, and pastor has a schedule of when he actually meets with people. So you get an opportunity to go through his secretary or her secretary to get an appointment on your pastor's calendar, right? Same thing with you. If people want to connect with you and go out to lunch with you, they get to say, hey, I want to go out to lunch. They can't just say, let's go right now. And you like jump up and go to lunch with them. No, you get to say, I can go to lunch on Sunday or Wednesday or whatever day. And then y'all are going into lunch together, right? And so, but I think that the reason why people have such a hard time with boundaries is because people want to do and say and be however they want in other people's lives, and they don't get to, right? I think that oftentimes people don't know what boundaries are, or have never experienced them or valued them or see the value in them for themselves or for others, that they think that everybody's trying to keep people out when they're really trying to give you access in. You know, I had somebody previously, she got upset when I was talking about boundaries, and I was just looking at her thinking to myself, you don't have any. I didn't say that, but I was like, she doesn't have any boundaries. And so because she doesn't have boundaries, she doesn't value the boundaries that I have, right? Like I didn't value the boundaries that other people had until I really understood it, right? So there was a girl, I think I called her late at night or early in the morning or something, and she had this boundary to where she don't call or text people after a certain time at night or in the morning, right? And I didn't like it when she said to me, but I heard what she said. And she was just like, well, since I got married, I don't usually do this after this time or this before this time, just out of respect for my marriage. And I was like, well, that's dumb, right? Until I started to really think about it. I said, okay, if I was married, like potentially, do I want my husband's phone ringing at all times of the night, just from everybody, you know, whatever? No, I probably wouldn't want that. I would want when the time is for us, we're doing us, and not everybody calling, texting, trying to get him, right? And then I thought to myself, I remember when I was married and I had male friends or people, just men that had my phone number in general, not in that way, but you know, in general. And I remember getting calls or texts from them, and I remember feeling like, ooh, I wonder how he would feel if he saw that I got a text message from this person at this time. Now, they weren't doing anything. They don't even like me like that. But I was just like, oh, I was aware of that. So I set my own boundary of being like, hey, would you mind not texting me after whatever time and just because I'm married now. I don't want my spouse thinking that, you know, whatever's going on or whatever. And the person was like, oh yeah, sure. Okay. I get that, you know, and it was just out of respect and a boundary that I have for me and for my marriage with men or whatever, right? Now women, they do whatever they do, you know what I mean? But men, it was like, you know, just to create a space of safety within my marriage and people understanding, here is how I'm doing this so that I can, you know, just proof my marriage from just foolishness, because things can just happen, or what the devil can do stupid stuff, you know? And whether my ex-husband says that he liked it or not, I'm sure he respected it, of me just being like, hey, out of respect for him, if you wouldn't mind not doing this, this, and this is great, but not that. I don't think he would appreciate that. I think he would respect that. You know what I mean? Out of respect for people that are in relationships, let's just say I'm friends with a guy, right? And I see him, I'm like, oh, what's up? I'll give him a hug, whatever, right? But here's the deal. If I'm friends with a guy, or I know a guy, and then his woman comes along, I've never met her, or I have met her. If I come into a space with them and I'm getting ready to embrace them, if he is in front of me first and she's behind him, I will bypass him and I will go to her and say, hey girl, it's so good to see you. And then I'll come back and embrace him. Right now, initially a person may say, well, why should you do that? And it's like, because I respect you and your relationship, sis. Well, I'm coming to you first and then I'm gonna go to your man. Right? Like, I'm not going to embrace him until I come to you. Right. And I remember years ago when I told some women that, they were in shock. And it was like, because I want you to know that you never have to concern yourself with me. Okay. And I want the same respect when my time comes, right? So I'm giving out what it is that I want to receive. And I just have the boundary within myself of giving that space to a woman before I embrace her man or whatever. Does that make sense? So same thing. If a man is married, I'm like, I'm not going to text him late at night. I'm not going to text him early in the morning. I'm going to ask him if it's even appropriate to text him, if his wife is okay that I message him. Right. And I'll say, can you just make sure, because I don't ever want her to feel like when she sees my name pop up that anything's going on. And men sometimes are like, what? And I'm like, listen, this is for me, and it's for your wife, and it's for you. Even though you may not understand it, it's for y'all. And I want her to always feel safe when it comes to me. I don't know about everybody else, but for me, right? And so I think that it's healthy to have boundaries. I think it's healthy to say, here's how you can come in, here's how you cannot, right? So like, there's people in my life where I've had like health issues and I've said, I love being able to share with you. I love being able to, you to know what's going on with me, but I would really appreciate it if you didn't give me medical advice, right? If you didn't tell me what you would do. I really just want you to ask me, how am I doing and how you can support me so that I can work with my doctors on my medical stuff. Because people oftentimes will say, do this, do this, do this, do this. And they don't really know what's all going on or what I actually need from them, which is empathy, not go do this, right? And I remember some years ago, when I was telling it to some people and they were not happy about it. And I was just like, I don't know why you're not happy about it. You're trying to fix me and I'm just trying to get empathy from you. And one of them were like, I get it. Like, I get it now. I am trying to fix you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to fix myself. I'm just coming to you so you can know what's happening in my life, and that our relationship got better because the person started to go, oh yeah, this person is not wanting this, this, and this, even though I want to give this, they just want me to be there for them. And that's it, And so I try to do the same thing when it comes to other people. It's like, okay, the same that I want, I try to give out. And I was like, do you want me to give you some guidance or anything? Like, I'm open. Like, if you want me to, if not, that's okay. I just want to know how I can support you and be there for you, And so I just want you to know that having boundaries is normal. Okay. So what would Jesus do? If Jesus encountered a person who had no boundaries or people were pushing on their boundaries, what would Jesus do? First of all, if Jesus met you and you didn't have boundaries, Jesus would have a conversation with you about you. He would be getting to know you. He already know you, but he would be getting to know you, finding out what's happening good in your life, what's happening not so good, what are some of your relationship likes, and then what are some of your needs. And then he would spend time helping you understand how he sees boundaries, right? And then he would also show you some areas in your life where you could have boundaries. Right. And he would lovingly guide you, be there for you, give empathy and all that. But he would 100% be teaching you how to have boundaries. Now, if you were someone and you had boundaries and people were pushing on your boundaries, Jesus would sit with you and he would talk with you about what your boundaries are. He would assess them with you to see if they're boundaries or they're actual walls that you put up. If they're walls, he would help you with healing those walls to take them down. If they're actual boundaries, then he would help you to enforce them. He would help you with the conversations that you have to have with people that you need to enforce the boundaries to, because he cares about you, he cares about them, and he cares about the relationship. He would also tell you that, hey, if these people do not want to respect your boundaries, you don't have to let them in. This is for you. If they don't want to respect you, you get to let them know, well, until you're willing to understand and appreciate what I'm doing here, I don't know how we're going to do this in our relationship, and he would help you understand that. He would comfort you when you feel sad. He would comfort you when people are pushing beyond or upset about you enforcing your boundaries. And he would help to remind you that you're doing a good job, that this is for you. He would be there for you. Okay. So if you got any questions about boundaries, I want to know. I love boundaries. You can just comment here on YouTube, or if you're listening to the show, you can come on YouTube at You, Me, and Jesus, and you can comment there.